Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well, having a wonderful weekend, doing whatever it is that you're doing, moving about or staying in. I hope that this message finds you well indeed. So I feel like I got a couple things to say, but I was thoughtful even up until push and record as to how I get to say it or when I get to say it. But first things first, on a lighter note, I guess, kind of, sort of, I saw, I was scrolling through today and I saw someone repost a news report about the Tesla recall. Now, I don't know if you tuned into the message yesterday, but I kind of briefly but strangely talked about, it felt random to me talking about buying the end of the year being a good time to buy an electric car. And I even said, like, I don't even know why I'm saying that, but the premise of the message was about sometimes there being a setback in things that we thought we wanted or that we thought we were supposed to receive in a certain time, but when the dust settles, there'll be an illumination as to why it had to be this way, or it was better off for you that it wasn't at that time, or maybe that it was delayed a bit. You'll actually find that it was the perfect timing. Fun fact is that I used to be obsessed with the Tesla Model X. It was one of my dream cars in my mind. I even went one birthday and like test drove it, and I was claiming it and naming it. And I was not referring to that in the message yesterday. That's no longer my ideal car. But it's funny that that only transitioned after, I don't remember when, but some time ago I watched like a documentary of some sorts about how Elon had been really pushing the envelope on this whole autopilot feature of the car, and how he was really projecting results. Not first off pushing the team from the inside to produce results for this feature that he really wanted to be able to proclaim. So much so that he was pronouncing it before it was really actually solidified, like it was actualized. So it's funny, and when I watched that, my own personal moral meter just kind of went off like, I don't like how that feels, you know what I mean? Like, that seems, I don't know, just didn't feel right. So I kind of had taken that off my wish list as far as cars are concerned back then. So it's funny how it's unfolding now, even personally to myself, as a confirmation of the message yesterday, that had I jumped out the window and bought me a Tesla, particularly a Model X, and yes, I would have wanted it completely loaded with the autopilot features and any feature that it came with. I had in my mind that it was going to be completely souped up, you know what I mean? So who knows? I could have been one of those ones, a casualty on the side of the road because of a malfunction, or having to give it back at this point in time, you know what I mean? So there's always divine timing for everything, and it just also shows that these higher profile positions of power and prestige, as they have ordained themselves, more or less, are not exempt from, justice and perhaps even judgment, that what he's probably been pushing for since way back when, maybe even cutting some corners, or probably just putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on people to have a certain thing, is now kind of coming back to haunt him. And I'm sure it's millions, if not billions of dollars in losses, whether they're going to have to fix whatever the problem is or refund money or whatever. However a recall of cars in that regard gets to be, I'm sure it's not going to be pretty for the Tesla bottom line, right? So there's that. I think I already cut the cards. Yeah, I'm trying to cut back on the talking that I do in the beginning of the video so much, even though sometimes I just gotta say what I gotta say. But I know how it is, even as a watcher of tarot, that sometimes you like, girl, just get to the message, because sometimes I'll be feeling that way too. Oh, this might be Elon right now, stressed out, and the dinosaur is like thinking about all that's about to happen with this great loss he's finna take. Like, what does this mean for the future of his brand? I know X is not doing all that great. You know, the app formerly known as Twitter, and I don't know if I don't know. But anyway, to the point of what I was saying, you know what? And this is a perfect segue now that I got this card. I said that when I felt the nudge in the cards that might be a good time to talk about it. No one's exempt, okay? So when I was thinking about Mercury retrograde today. Now, we know that it's already been started since the 12th of December. And it's right now retrograding in Capricorn. I'm not 100% positive when that shifts and it's back into Sagittarius. But when I was just kind of like thinking about it, just casually, quite honestly, a word that came to mind literally was mind control, and how this, I've been saying that I didn't feel totally compelled to like dive into retrograde the way that I do, the way that I have done, at least in messages past, where I kind of break down the sign and, have it all mapped out. Something was just feeling different about it to me, and it still does. And given how I'm processing it now, literally Mercury being our processor, it makes sense as to why. So I was thinking about mind control, and I came to that ideal, given Capricorn is, particularly a sign representative of power and order and structure, a Saturn, Big Daddy Saturn, you know what I mean? And control and, order, but control being like an inflection of it, more or less, depending on how you see it. And of course, as I said, Mercury being our processor, how we receive information and give it meaning and disseminate it, even express it, and then how that information does or does not play a role in our lives, like in our waking lives. And particularly when I was thinking about Mercury and Gemini energy, Gemini is my sister sign as a Sagittarius, and we have a synergy in that we love information. But the difference in some ways with Gemini is that sometimes they love information for information's sake, just to have a storehouse of facts and figures and almost useless information just to have for their own interest. And, you just never know when you might need to pull it out your back pocket. We love them for it, right? A Gemini knows everything, don't they? I've had Gemini best friends, so trust me, I'm well versed on this topic. That they pretty much know a little bit about everything, or they'll be intrigued enough to go find it out. And when they go find it out, they're gonna find the truth of it down to the nitty gritty, right? And again, for no apparent reason, just to say that they know, or again, to be that wealth of knowledge for whomever, whatever, whenever. So I was thinking about this retrograde being, it's an internal regression more than it is a backward regression for us as human beings, to really consider what the transit is calling us to examine on the inside out, right? And Mercury being our processor, and mind control, Saturn control, leadership power, particularly with Saturn, other people's power, Capricorn energy, and is really calling us to confront, engage, or consider what's been holding control of our mind space. And I kind of spoke about this a little bit, I think it was either yesterday or the day before. So when I was talking about like what's manning your starship, what from that control panel, and a lot of it being from a subconscious um, control, but even your consciousness, sometimes we defer that control to other things, knowingly and unknowingly. So sometimes when you defer your consciousness, you give it that power away willingly. You definitely leave your subconscious up for grabs. So I feel like this particular retrograde, number one, is waking people up, whether it be a pleasant wake up call, just an enlightenment, or otherwise, or everything in between, maybe even a pleasant wake up call, that we're being awoken to what's been taking control over our force field, particularly our mind force, our mind field, what's been controlling our conscious and our subconscious to some degree, or at least the conscious actions that we take day to day, or our actions and reactions, and what we've been surrendering our power over to people, places, and things, and really gauging whether or not that is, in most regards, any surrender of power over to an external force is probably misaligned or mismanaged in some way, shape, or form. I feel like for the most part, it's a call for everyone to kind of reclaim their power holistically. The challenges, though, that there would have needed to have been some care and consideration, probably in like maybe the last retrograde, if I'm just throwing it out there, as to how that got to be done in preparation for this very confrontational time that we're in now, which is why there's a great disparity between those that are kind of awakening and like rubbing your eyes and, blinking to the rays of the sunshine type of energy, and some are waking up to a nightmare, you know what I mean? Because some people are realizing that what's been in control over them, or what's been holding the power of influence over them in some way, shape, or form, hasn't been something leading them in a positive direction. They've been either something has been, what's the right word? That something has been almost like possessing them to some degree. Again, whether it be obsession, whatever. I won't even get into all of it because I said I didn't want to talk too much, right? But this card just kind of just forced it out, purged it out. So that I feel like that's the disparity, that people are waking up from and then with Neptune being direct in Pisces now, there's not as much of a fantastical, dreamy element to it to keep you kind of like drunk, you know what I mean? Like intellectually and more psychologically to the reality of your situation. So you got that working for you, then Jupiter, in the mix, which is expanding your view and elevating your view. So with the retro and Capricorn to start, it's really unveiling that, like the security breach, so to speak, if there is one. Maybe it's not so much of a security breach, but maybe you've just been giving your time and attention to the wrong things in some way, shape, or form. It's not necessarily an internal possession, but maybe you're lending out your energy in some imbalanced ways, and it's not you need to call it back so that you can have the whole totality of your life force for however you get to navigate forward. So there's that. It's not all, to the detriment. But then there is the shift that will go into Sagittarius from Capricorn, where whatever intel that and some people aren't even able, I should say, to fairly gather this intel and this information, because that's why it's like really a mind fuck, as I know I say often in the most crass way I possibly can, because that's how it feels. Because as I said, the disparity is some people are waking up to a nightmare and having to really smack themselves, you know what I mean? Trying to find, trying to wake up from a bad dream, and are having to kind of contend with the remnants of that intensity before they can really get to the projection of a reality as it is and what it gets to be. So that's why I was saying, like, it's an unfortunate wake up call, because some people been asleep too long is basically what I'm trying to get to. Not to say there's hopeless, I'm not projecting hopelessness onto anyone, but as I've said before, the stakes are higher and harder now. So if you've been aligning yourself with certain energies for the past 6 months, year, whatever the case may be, but you're well invested, or you've been well invested at this point, that wake up might be more of a nightmare, because you may be reflective of how you've been more or less, like, almost how can I say it, like, seduced in some type of way, or at least manipulated into doing things or acting in accordance with things that are out of the alignment of your most supreme self, or just out of the alignment of who you organically, naturally knew yourself to be. So it's like, imagine, the terror of, a night terror, so to speak, where you're waking up and you're almost like, oh God, thank God that was a dream. But alas, it's not a dream, because you're awake, and it's like you're now aware of your missteps and what you've aligned yourself with and what you've been engaged in. And you see the dream, it's like a lucid dream in a very scary way, but the only thing is that you still have to deal with the reality of that experience. It's not like oh, thank God it was a dream. It's like, oh my God, this is the reality. This is real. This is real life. And now I have to actually work with it or do something with it, live within this terror in some way, shape, or form, or without it, hopefully, if that's the choice. So that's the struggle, because the next phase of it is when this goes into Sagittarius, when it retros back into Sagittarius, which now is shaping the philosophy of your mind's perspective, your mind's eye, you know what I mean? So Capricorn is like unveiling the power. It's almost like it's like Back to the Future type of vibe. I don't even know, how that makes sense, but that's how I feel. It's like we're in Sagittarius, but Mercury is retro and in Capricorn, which we haven't gotten to yet holistically. And then it's going back into Sagittarius when we're moving forward into Capricorn. It's like that whole back and forth thing. I'll probably try to really get into that later, because I feel something there, but I don't want to try to work it out now, because we'll never get to the cards if I do. So like I said, the other side of that is when it retros into Sagittarius, which will be I feel a lighter experience. Definitely there's more optimism, less restriction there from the tension and perhaps even the contention that's happening now with the retro and Capricorn. However, now will be the task of shaping your philosophy, and with it being a fire sign, really not just shaping it, but there may even be some incitement to act upon it, or at least to start to engage in the reality of whatever that gets to be. Now, for those that have been preparing themselves, ready in their energetic field for shifts, however they may come along, I don't feel like it'll be, that's why I've been saying, like, I don't really think it's going to be Mercury retrograde will be what it usually is, because there's a preparation that's been happening for those of us that have been in preparation mode and, ready mode, sitting on ready for the most part for a while now, that the shift, this is probably the hardest part of it all, like this kind of like contentious Capricorn energy with Mercury, where there's so much information that we are divulging and that's coming up as revelation from the inside out, and perhaps even from the surrounding forces, that is the confrontation of it all is the contention. You know what I mean? It's like, all right now, and almost like pushing, feeling like the pressure is being transferred back to you. Not really, but it may be perceived that way because of the elements as to what you're now going to do about it. Now you taking the reins and being the boss, making the decisions and reactions and actions that need to take place in order for you to make good on whatever the revelation may be. So if it's seeing that you've been given a person, place, or thing too much precedence in your life, or there's been a power or force, an ideal, an assumption, a way of being, a distorted mindset that's been governing your life accordingly, you may feel the urgency to want to do something about it. Whether or not that's the expectation of the universe, I'm not really too sure to say. I guess that's between you and your supreme self as to what gets to happen. But for sure, that's probably the worst of it. I feel like once you get through that pressure point, as I kind of talked about yesterday as well, about the olives and then pressure makes diamonds and all that. Once you get through that and there's a settlement, I feel like once Mercury moves into Sagittarius, you'll feel more at ease to just start to philosophize your way forward, like make it make sense pretty much, and with more optimism and more of a big picture perspective, less constriction than what you may feel at this moment, maybe not even feeling like you know what to do. But in Sagittarius, you may feel secure, given those are sister signs of the information that you have collected and that you've discovered, and with the energy and enthusiasm and perhaps even courage and confidence as to how to implement the intel for the best results for your life moving forward, So there's that. And that's in the highest vibration. As I said, there are some that I feel like are waking up. The good thing is that everybody's getting a wake-up call, even those that may not feel favorable about what they're waking up to. Nobody, and I've said this before, that nobody can sit back and say they didn't know, they weren't aware, the devil made me do it type of vibe. It's like everybody's going to have the revelation of exactly who they've been, why they've been. Of course, if you're open to it. Some people want to be zombies, and we just give them the grace to be so. Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband, because you know the rest, okay? But for the most part, for those that are willing and able to be awakened, even in the most terrifying state, there still is some jubilee, I would say, for the fact that there is an awareness as to exactly where you are. Because the fact is that if you don't have this clarity, you are one of the zombies. You know what I mean? You are in an unawakened state if you're unwilling to see the truth of your reality as it is. You're just going to be, stuck dwelling in it without any, hope to exit or evolve otherwise. So, as I always like to keep it graceful on both ends, whatever the awakening is, it's for your good, it's for the good of all, overall. And the best thing to do is to stay out of this energy, no matter what, regarding what gets to happen next, even those that have been in a plant, because this could go for either side and anything in between. If you have all this information, you may feel yourself being in angst about what to do with it. Oh man, I know so-and-so is no good for me. What do I do? Do I just cut them off? Do I just, I feel like this relationship has been holding me back. Do I just break up with him on Christmas? Like, really? You know what I mean? It's such a weird time to hold this type of, intensity. Is so strange, which is another reason why it's different than retrogrades that we've had through this year particularly. But like I said, get through this pressure point, be graceful with yourself, be graceful with the information and the intel that you're receiving, consult your supreme self, your higher source, God, the universe, angels, ancestors, whomever that you trust and absolutely trust to be of good counsel at this time is the only point of reference you should defer to outside of yourself to help co-create the best move forward. And then when Sagittarius is in alignment with Mercury, even though it's a retrograde and it's still an internal and it's an introspection, it's still with a lighter energy and a more passionate drive, so you won't feel as suppressed and compressed as to what to do. You may even have to temper your enthusiasm as to what to do at that point in time. So, either way, just take it easy. Don't put too much pressure on yourself than what's necessary. Allow your eyes to adjust. Like I said, that waking up when you're like rubbing your eyes and they need to kind of adjust. But even in the darkness, there's a adjustment that gets to happen. Allow your vision to be clearly adjusted and aligned to what you need to see and need to know before you feel anxious or eager about either what's to come or what responsibility you now have to assume, or what you feel like you have to jump ahead into. Okay, because Sagittarius is I know, so it's no coincidence that we're in Sag now while it's retro, and it's giving us the support system now while we're still in Sag to be willing to see. You know what I mean? Like literally to be willing to receive revelation and to see things from a higher, more expansive perspective. Universe is so great in that way that with the constriction, we got that support. And then when it goes into retro and we're actually in Capricorn, we'll still kind of have a rebalancing act as well. Yeah, to wait for the enlightenment. Wait for the enlightenment. You'll know what to do. You'll know what to do. Shoot, you may already know, but if it's a matter of timing, you'll know when as well. All right, so we're just going to do a couple cards because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go in like that, but I feel like, yeah, here's the Moon card and the Five of Swords, but this is the moving forward. Yeah, Five of Swords, 5 changes on the horizon. You're moving away from these. This is actually the reveal of the energies. Remember I said that have been taking over your mind field or trying to man your mind field and almost force you into positions of poverty or some impoverished mindset, I would say, to keep you in a place where you don't feel trustworthy of your own energy to move forward, or that you may not even be aware of how you're lacking self-control or mind control or just awareness of exactly what's been operating in your mind field and projecting that energy into your material world. That's actually what exactly these two cards are. These are like intruders in your mind field, and this is how it manifests 5 and 5 into your material world in ways that you may or may not be aware of with the Moon card, because a lot of it happens from a psychological, a dark psychological space, or even from your subconscious where, we're just not all well vested in that space and in the healing of that space, fortunately, and well, I can't say fortunately, but unfortunately for the most part. But maybe not so unfortunately, as we have the Wheel of Fortune card here, because that's exactly, and what's that? Yeah, fortune indeed with the 10 of Pentacles is that's all changing. Look at that. A jump from the 5 doubling up to the 10 on account of what you are willing to allow yourself to discover and then adjust to. With the Wheel of Fortune, it's like evolution. It's like the wheel is turning, the world is turning. We're closing karmic cycles, maybe these toxic cycles that have persisted to create illusions in your life before have done so successfully because you were less aware of that presence and the essence of that corruption. But now everybody's becoming aware. Even these people are becoming aware of why they do what they do, or the fact that they are doing what they're doing. And everybody's becoming aware of it's like tell them what they want, Fred, type of vibe. You know what I mean? And for some, it's the 10 of Pentacles for your harvest, for your sowing and your persistence amidst all of this resistance. And for some, this wheel is turning on the lower vibration for them to now manifest or dwell in the manifestations that they've created for others, you know. But we're not going to get too heavy. I hope, I don't know, because the moon card is out here. I'm not intending to like dwell on that energy too much, because I feel like it's just been taking up too much space in my auric field personally. And it's like, listen, I can't do nothing for you, man. I'm busy trying to work with me. I don't know if that's what he said, but you know that song? Probably not, because I'm such an 80s, 90s kid. The moon card, the Five of Swords, here's that inner conflict between the, you know, of the king, either of the King of Pentacles, or as a conflict of interest with being the King of Pentacles, you know, that king, yeah, and this is having to protect yourself so that you can actually move into this new beginning. And here yet again is the Wheel of Fortune, and this rejection card, like leaving the past where it is, you know what I mean? Not allowing yourself to be consumed by the inner conflict, even of the self-discovery that you divulge into itself throughout this retrograde or this season or whatever it may be, but just focusing on the prosperity of it all, like even the prosperity of the revelation itself and what it's affording you in terms of how to protect yourself, how to stand your ground on what you know of the value that you know yourself to hold, and what is due to you, and what your expression of worthiness, externally and internally, you know, what you expel and what you're due to receive. That's really the major competition over your mind field in the first place, especially from lower vibrations, to keep you from being self-aware and self-assured at this stable, secure, and prosperous state of being, you know, where there's really not much that can be reflected to you spiritually or materially to project your worth onto you, especially when you have the cold hard evidence of, you know, your sowing, your spiritual sowing with the King of Pentacles here. It's like somebody that, like I like to say, that's rich and righteous, that knows who they are. They've taken proper steps to get to where they are. They've made wise investments, moral investments, you know, high frequency, high vibrational, not someone that was cutting corners or doing risky behaviors per se, doing things that they would have to protect themselves in the midst of. This actually could be the expression of that I'm kind of raising the vibration up to some extent, but this is what the energy would want to drag you down into. You know, it would want to distract you with projections of what you feel you have to do to survive, rather than to thrive in some unconventional ways, you know. Yeah, unconventional here, represented here with the Seven of Wands, where you stand out from the crowd. You're not doing what everybody else does. And the difference is that everybody else feels like that's what they have to do to achieve whatever the conventions of success, societal success may be, or even just to survive, as I've said, you know, to literally keep head above water, because there's a limitation on an expansive perspective of possibilities as you would acquire through the revelation of a Sagittarius vibration, particularly with Mercury. You know, those two synergies together, that's like doubling up on a mind field, upgrade. You know what I mean? Helping you see the small details and helping you see the big picture at the same time. You want that energy. You want to let that fully integrate into your being, so that all of your vision is online, you know, in a holistic way. There is no illusion, as a matter of fact. So you don't succumb to any pitfalls of what you feel like you absolutely like. Anything that you feel you have to do is always a red flag to some degree anyway, because everything is a choice. And people act out in ways, look, back out here, people act out in ways such as this when they feel like they don't have any other choice but ... Or they don't feel like they have any other choice, period. You know what I mean? But that is never the case. That is not so. That's always an illusion. There is always choice, no matter what the circumstances or even the projected results or so-called consequences. And there's always more than one way to skin a cat as well. You know, more than one way to acquire wealth and prosperity, stability, and even this is a projection of Capricorn, as a matter of fact, like an established expression, well, more or less Taurus, actually, with the Earth card, but it could be an expression of Capricorn too, any Earth energy, but particularly I think it's more Taurus because the kings are a bit more fixed. But that even with that, it's the tangibility of our life experiences, the comforts of life, you know, not feeling like there's only one way to achieve that level of material comfort and sensibility or sensationalism to some degree, that you can only do it in excess or by this way to have the access to truly feel comfortable. It's like, no, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Yeah, you can stand out from the crowd and stay in alignment with your supreme self, your spiritual nature, your highest integrity, and still be just as well off, literally not abusing your power, but stand in integrity with it and allowing for universal order to upgrade you accordingly, to fill in the voids where you may feel you fall short, if at all. You know what I mean? What's this? Lover's card. Yep, the choices of the higher self. Once again, let's keep going. I'm just taking all cards today since I talk so much. Yeah, so here is, let's see. So I'm feeling like this is still more of that lower vibration. And you know what? It's like, you know what it is? It's because, and especially with the moon card, it's like a cry for help. Like, help me, help. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh so cynically, but I'm laughing at myself, not the idea of it. But hell, it's funny too sometimes too. Wouldn't you say that the same energies that wanted to keep you in conflict with yourself caused tower moments all over your damn life existence, you know, your personal existence, now are wanting to reach out for some help, some remorse, some sympathy or empathy. It's like, so much so that I can't even move forward in this reading in a higher vibration, because this is what this night energy is. It's like people feeling bad about the choices that they made to put themselves in a prosperous position. Now this is all they have left to show for it in the Knight of Pentacles, and feeling entitled to wanting to reclaim that status in some way, shape, or form, or feeling, you know, incited to the aggression of wanting to reclaim that status. And they don't even want to do it the long way, or the, you know, the honest way, like an honest living. It's going against what that natural order may be, even in the so-called face of, you know, not a demotion, maybe a demotion, but depreciation of value in some way, shape, or form. It's like they can't accept that. You know, it's hard to, perhaps, like I said, it's the impulse of waking up out of that dream and realizing that you've been in a nightmare the whole time. You thought it was your dream life, and now you realize that, you know, it was a terror. It's a horror flick, as a matter of fact. You know, so it's like trying to rush back and forge a do-over, or reclaim, or reclamation of some type of energy, maybe even trying to get back that investment that they made and place it elsewhere. But it's like, ain't nothing back here but more illusions and more competition and chaos. So even if you were to rush back here, it's not really much more to reclaim in this regard. The best you can do is what is left of your transformative state. And if you got a Knight of Pentacles from the King, you're doing all right, like it could be a page or it could be nothing at all, and perhaps that's the end, that's where it's headed, because like I said, this is the energy of someone that's just refusing to accept their fate, as it presently is. Not that it has to be eternally that way, but it's like not, is literally going against the natural order, and eventually spirit is just going to have to completely turn your world upside down, or you will do it yourself, insisting on backtracking into places and spaces that have proven themselves to be out of alignment with your highest being. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, refusing to accept the spiritual expression of love. This is the only cup, as a matter of fact, that's been out here, at least that has fallen on the actual board, still not accepting spiritual respite and restitution and restoration and healing and unconditional love. It's like still over ambitious and aggressively ambitious about material measurement, still wanting to be measured by what he has or what he does or his position or his power or his affiliations or, his accolades or his crew, his this clout, and it's like much of that heyday has now passed. It's now in the Knight of Pentacles energy. So there's not much to reclaim of what you true. The memory that is trying to be reclaimed at this point in time is like it's non-existent. It probably never really was existent with the moon card here. It was an illusion anyway. It literally was a nightmare that seemed like a good dream. So it's like almost literally insanity. Yeah, look at this. Having this anticipation for again, this reclamation of wealth or prosperity or whatever he thinks he's reclaiming. I noticed the devil. Oh no, that's back to the Nine of Swords. And then the Three of Swords. And then it's like, I don't know what the hell this guy wants to do. I don't know. But it's a dead end, I tell you that. It's a dead end. You're going the wrong way, my guy. Let's just get a few more out. I think it's because the eagerness and back to this, right? I was just about to say too, I feel like the overambition, the aggression is really what it is. If it was the Knight of Wands, it'd be more ambition, maybe even overambition. But this is like aggression, is the anger of feeling duped. That's what it is. But it's like I said, that's the disparity between the wake up calls. I'm one that I don't like waking people up aggressively. My son, I don't like to be woken up aggressively. I'm a gentle waker upper, for the most part, like call your name pretty softly and, tap you a little bit. Not like, Jonathan, wake up. What? I cannot stand that. I don't like to be woken up like that. And you just never know what type of dream you're waking someone up from. Me being one that really holds a lot of stock in dreams, I wouldn't want to disturb someone's sleep state in that way. You don't know what the hell they're awakening from. And it's like the wake up call has been so aggressive and so unpleasant. It's like it puts you in a bad mood. That's this energy here when I was talking about the disparity of the wake up calls, that it's like what he's experiencing now that he's fully awake, or maybe mostly awake. I don't know, maybe still a bit groggy by the way of these cards. But it's like he's like woken up on the wrong side of the bed. You know what I mean? Like mad, like I can't, now that the picture is full, his eyes are adjusted. It's like, I can't believe that I was, that I played myself pretty much. Like, I don't even know how to say it diplomatically. It's like you're seeing the whole reality and he's mad. That's really what the aggression is. It's like, get that freaking Knight of Pentacles out of here. I was the king, damn it. And still feeling entitled to that position, feeling like the way that he was duped out of it was unfair to him, but not taking accountability and responsibility for his co-creativity in this illusion. That he had many opportunities to wake up and wanted to stay asleep. You know what I mean? Like literally wanted to sleep in a little longer. Every time Spirit was like, time to wake up, my guy. Time to move on from this place. Time to get away from these folks. Showing them at every turn, time, protect yourself. You're not in a safe space. These are not your people. This is not real life. Like it's time to move on. And this is what the Knight of Pentacles is here for, because it took him too long. And even still, it wasn't like he woke up on his own. Like I said, it's been an aggressive wake-up call. That tower was out here. Some circumstantial thing has happened or occurred that has forced him now to see the reality of who he's been surrounded by, what the true nature of what he's been doing, and maybe even the nature of what he's been invested in, of which some things he didn't even know. He could have been tied up with individuals that he thought he was engaged in on one level, and they had a whole nother hustle going on, and now he's implicated in that just by association. You know what I mean? Trying to be a kingpin. Literally could be some real illegal or diabolical activity going on here that has now not fared out well, like to the point where he literally may have to find some legal representation with that Seven of Wands to really defend himself. And it's like you still, even with that, it's like you don't have the luxury of saying like you didn't know, because you only didn't know, quote unquote, because you weren't willing to listen to the spiritual cues. You were literally a Four of Cups, refusing to hear Spirit calling your name to say it's time to get up out of here. So, what is it? Ignorance is no defense. Isn't that like a law or something? I know it is when you're driving. If you don't know the driving rules and you get pulled over, ignorance is no defense. And I'm gonna take it too with the Seven of Cups. Like plenty of time to break up out of that dream. That literally is the dream state. And I'm taking it because I want to get up out of here. The Three of Pentacles, this is the collaboration. And now here is the Knight of Wands, where he was just thinking with his wand and wanting to have a good time for as long of a time as he possibly could, but without the commitment of something of longevity, particularly of love. This would have been the derivative of him accepting that Four of Cups, that nourishment from Spirit, to actually start to love himself enough to know the value of what he was in, what his true value, not an inflated value or ego, because that's what I'm getting the sense here is that he kind of felt, this is the energy I see with this King of Pentacles on the outside of the Five of Wands, that he thought he was better than the people that he engaged himself with, like a very inflated concept of self, literally, and maybe he did have something of great value that he brought to the table, comparatively speaking, in some way, shape, or form. However, when it all came down to it, he was just one in the number. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes, like say a RICO charge, I don't know why I'm hearing that, but like when the RICO hits, everybody gets swept. When that raid come through, it's not like, oh well, you're the lieutenant, you're a foot soldier, you're the top dog, you just a corner boy. It's like, no, everybody's going. Everybody. They take great pride in doing a sweep of the whole operation. So as much as he wanted to elevate himself above the fray, maybe he thought he was wiser, more talented, more gifted with the King of Pentacles. Maybe he had more money. Maybe he was the funds of an operation, but little, like I said, little, or maybe he knew exactly what was going on under the surface, in the dark corridors of whatever this engagement was, but he kind of kept his hands clean in a certain type of way and thought, like I said, he was above the fray, and then when it came down to it, the lieutenants and the corner boys would get swept, but he would be untouchable to some degree. But you ain't never untouchable by way of the spirit, especially not coming up as the King of Cups, meaning you had a greater responsibility to work from your spiritual nature as the king. If you're going to be the king, you got to be the king. You can't just be the king because it sounds good and for the benefits and all that good stuff. Otherwise, you just a corner boy too. You know what I mean? The kingpin is the kingpin for a reason. The head of the operation, the brains of the operation. I don't even see no sword card out here except for the Knight of Swords, and we know that he operates out of his aggression, out of his anger and out of his ego. It's not really out of intellect and ingenuity. So it's like somebody that just really inflated, exalted himself because of the company that he kept, but ultimately it was the company that he kept that resulted in his demise and really the degradation of his true value, in the end, because that's all he's being measured by at this point. You still in the Seven of Cups, not knowing which way is up, perhaps even over drinking, overindulging, definitely with the King of Cups and the Seven of Cups. Three of Pentacles, still conniving. You're just as much a part of the fray as anyone else, from the lowest man on the totem pole up until you or beyond you, if you even were the top, because that's giving me those vibes too, like somebody that was projecting himself to be the big man in charge and could pump fake that act with those that were truly beneath him to some degree. But in actuality, he had a greater call, as we all do to some extent, even if the higher calling was just to his higher self, that he kept, denying those calls for. There's still now a reckoning that has to be considered with that entity, that is completely, it's on him. You can't blame it on nobody else at this point, even with the best team, the best collaborative effort, the best collusion, this like all the best thieves, like everyone that's the best in their craft coming together for some common objective and having a good time doing it, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it appears to me. But in the end, it's like it still came down to a night. It still came down to a night. And you lost the pure essence of your soul and the true value of your spirit on account of what? Just to say you was the man. Yeah, there's that Seven of Swords again. Kill, still, destroy. Still, kill, destroy, whatever, however the saying goes. And I think this is going to be my last one. And back to, look at this. Exactly. Somebody that wanted to be the king so bad, but was never really doing king shit though. Like it's not giving me. Yeah, this is exactly what this card gives me sometimes, like someone that wants to exalt themselves above others that are in need. So it's like a projection of this persona of prestige, you know what I mean, of honor or nobility or power. Even like I said, was he even the top dog? Was he even? But I did say the King of Swords never came out, so I guess he said, I'm here, bitch, what's up? So he's out here now. But look, I'm done. It's like this is the awakening, right? Like now he has all his wits about him. He's got his head screwed on straight and looking forward to the future, but the future don't look so bright because now you got all of this that you still got to contend with on account of when you weren't awake and you weren't trying to be awake. No matter how many times the spirit tried to wake your ass up, you still want to stay asleep, enjoying the good life, stay intoxicated, inebriated, having a good time. All types of debauchery was going on here. It was like literally somebody living an underworld life that really didn't have no business there, is what I'm feeling. That's why I feel like it's like he's outside of the fray. He was more or less a fish out of water, because, and it's like that worked for him to stroke his ego, to elevate, to stroke his pride, to contribute to the elevation or exaltation of his ego, more or less secretly, probably to some degree. I don't think it was as pronounced as to maybe, like say to those that he was working with, like, y'all ain't shit, I'm better than y'all. But that was the boost of energetic force that he was operating from. Like, that was his currency. That, oh, I'm better, I'm smarter, I'm richer, I'm more talented, I'm more sophisticated, I'm more accomplished, more educated, more whatever, like whatever his accolades that he had built up. Because with the earth energy, particularly of the king of, when I said like Capricorn vibes, right? They play a lot of their their like establishment is based off of material accolades, like their education, their position of power, or their position of profession, degrees, money, is very tangible, So this is someone that fixated on that persona, either to project it or really to actually cultivate it. And that was enough for him to feel elevated and again, exalted beyond the players that he was in the arena with. But it was enough for him to feel exalted. But when it came down to it, nobody care about that shit. Like, it's a whole nother lifestyle, literally a whole nother world. The underworld is what I'm feeling. Is this somebody that got himself mixed up in the underworld with the Queen of Pentacles here? What's that about? You know what I mean? Maybe that was his chick. Yeah, like somebody that got themselves mixed up in the underworld, and they got in way over their head, is what I'm feeling. And by the time they realized that they were way in over their head, it was too little too late. And they're already fully integrated into this nightmare of a reality that they ultimately have created for themselves, for the pursuit of what? Money, power, respect. That's what this energy is. The King of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. That was the intention, that was the ambition, the driving force. But I can just say right off the top, based off of the motivation and the intention, that is especially leading here with the Five of Swords. We already know what the Five of Swords gives. That means that if you were willing to win at all costs, you already lost, bars. Because that's just not, that energy is not well supported in the realm for a long-term investment. You might get a quick lick, a quick fix, a big windfall today, but the means by which you were willing to do it and acquire it will ultimately cause you a great loss tomorrow or soon thereafter. So it's like you'll spend so much energy and effort to acquire this status and this, this material position, or I don't even know what you call it, because I'm just so over it, honestly. Like, this material, it's not even a position, it's the persona of prosperity, because This is the type of character that may not have even been as wealthy as he projected, but as long as he at least looked the part, or at least everyone else felt that he was, or he felt a cut above the rest of whomever he was in cahoots with, that was enough, so the bar was already set too low to begin with, especially when you weren't answering to the call of spirit. You was too low. It was always going to be too low of a reach. Low hanging fruit is what I'm feeling. That's what he went after, the low hanging fruit, because it was plentiful on the vine, where he was getting it literally with the Six of Pentacles here. That's exactly what that's given. And even probably in some partnership, I would definitely say, with the feminine energy showing up here as she did late in the gate. But like I said, ultimately, it's like it's a far cry away from the intended outcome. Five of Swords here, ten of Pentacles down here at the top of the deck. And at this point, like I said, because of the intentions that were invested, it's, even if there was an acquisition of wealth, it's not even worth it anymore for what all that has been sacrificed and surrendered to acquire it, and then on top of that, what is required to maintain it, considering, like I said, still waking up in this nightmare and realizing what you're surrounded by, and now facing the reality of perhaps even having acquired a great deal of wealth, but not wanting to do, not wanting to stay in the commitment of where you now clearly see yourself to be to maintain it. Oh yeah, that's enough to scream. Because now what do? Go back to being poor? And in a collusion such as this is hardly easy, just as easy to say, oh, I'm done, I'm backing off, without some great consequence, Five of Swords, to incur before you do. Consider the term blood in, blood out, or live by the sword, die by the sword. So there's that. Good God, like, this was not the way I saw this reading going. But, like I started, this Mercury retrograde, a lot of these energies are coming out to be purged. And I feel like almost apprehension, is it apprehension? Like this, like seizing this, that energy kind of seized this reading to some extent, wanting to be heard. For what? I don't know at this point, because there's nothing more to be done but to be delivered. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the point is anymore of having to read this energy out, but I'm gonna keep on being obedient to whatever comes up as it comes up. And perhaps it's just, for some of us, hearing the other side of the coin, perhaps you've been on a certain side of the coin, perhaps on the vulnerable end of such frequencies or energies such as this. So maybe it's comforting to know that these ambitions are finally being subdued in some way, shape, or form, and that truly there is evidence that the scales are being balanced in a way. It's not in a matter of like, yes, get them, spirit, but it's like, enough is enough already. Sit your ass down doing reckless stuff, because best believe an energy such as this, they don't confine themselves to themselves. They take this vibration and go impose it or inflict it upon those that don't have anything to do with this operation. There has to be some target or sitting duck or, some victim, so to speak, for the ambitions, or for whatever the mark or lick may be, whatever it is that this energy was up to. It wasn't good news, I'll tell you that. Between the Moon card and the Five of Wands and the Three of Pentacles, it wasn't good energy stewing and festering out there. So if anything, if it's the confidence to know that it's being subdued and is being balanced, and there is justice and judgment to look forward to, then if you know perhaps that it can be so in an energy such as this, then you have to know, just as balanced as the scales are, that the justice for the upright, as I said, those that are waking up on the right side of the bed, should be, equally and oppositely as intense, as magnificent to some degree, astounding perhaps, but that's my best stab at it for now, But anyway, I'm done. I'm going back to living my best life on my Saturday, and I hope that you do too. Enjoy yourself for the rest of the weekend. I will see you on Monday or talk to you on Monday. I highly doubt I'll be back tomorrow because I'm just feeling the need to still stay in rest mode for the rest of this year. And I always forget to say this in the beginning, but if you would like, it's only for the rest of December, if you would like to have a question or two answered, a spiritual question. It could be about anything, but the response, of course, will be of a spiritual inflection to however I feel guided to respond as fully and completely as possible. The information for that also is in the description box below. And again, it's only for the month of December, at least right now. We'll see how the month finishes out, but right now I'm only feeling guided for December. So get it while supplies last. I promise you, you will not be disappointed with the clarity that, especially in this season. I told you my placements, and I also have Mercury and Sag. So this is a good time to kind of pick my brain and kind of like poke my spirit for some insight. If you know, by way of those placements. So I am here at your service. If you're interested, hit me up. If not, no love lost. Thank you for tuning in. As always, and until next time, I leave you with peace.